What's going on YouTube? It's JSauce back again with another video, and today we have a little bit of an unorthodox video. Now, you probably are familiar with SPS. I've posted a couple videos on it so far, and it's essentially a Paldea Decks League. It's a server that I've been a part of since day one, and it's been inactive for about a year now, but SPS 8 is the big return, and today I am doing Zapdos Division Power Rankings. Um, I'm joined by my two friends, Ultra Paul and a Fat Rat,
Yo,
Yo, we're here.
what's good, YouTube? It's your boy Paul, aka Ultra Paul,
aka Goomba.
aka Goomba.
Yeah, so just make sure to subscribe, like, and comment. I would appreciate so much. 98% of my viewers are unsubscribed to this channel, and actually, that's a lie. I made that up. I actually don't know the percentage, but big shout to these guys.
But
for
you
being
should
the
subscribe
goats.
anyways.
Yeah, make sure to subscribe anyways. I got some banger content on the way.
Yeah.
Ever since my rebrand, everything's just, the quality's gone up so much. I really appreciate it. Okay, so, Paul, a Fat Rat, would you like to tell these guys what the power rankings are based on?
What the power rankings are based off of. The main thing, of course, pure bias.
Exactly.
Yep.
How much
Pretty much.
bribery happened?
Wait, you got
But
paid?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Who do you think? Why do you think I put the team I did in number one?
All they sent me was cat pics.
Better than what
Well,
I
get
got.
your money up. Get your money up, not your funny up, gentlemen. That's all I gotta say.
All right, but yeah, for real. So basically, in the last week had like zero time at all until the weekend. So the list is right here. You know, you got speed tiers, defensive and offensive cores, synergies, hazards and removal, which in Gen 9 is few and far between. Momentum, support moves, valuable Terra Captains. I personally believe that Terra Captains are a key component of how successful a team can be. And then the overall power level and vibe check, the JSauce vibe check is a real thing. That's mainly how I do it around here, if you couldn't tell. And lastly, I just wanted to point out that power rankings are not everything. I added this because so many people hear power rankings and make changes to their team or get down about how they feel. The most important thing is to have fun. And I've seen so many people
Indeed.
get placed like last in power rankings, then end up going to playoffs, even winning the championship. Don't get too down on yourself. With that being said, gentlemen, I think we should review our first team. We're going
Indeed.
last to first. You guys want to start it off?
If
Yeah,
you know exactly what team it is in number 12.
yeah.
Nowhere else to put it.
No. It would have been funny to put it somewhere else, but
Who would have
We're in
thought
the
the heaviest
business.
team sank to the bottom?
For real, no buoyancy.
do you think when he
Yeah, this is-
drafted he accounted for light metal Metagross?
Oh
No,
my
that thing
God.
is being clear body every single week.
Yeah.
So yeah, obviously, this is a bit, and I respect it heavily, and I think there are some bright spots, but it's just so not good compared to the other teams.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like, you
what
see
was
at the
it?
bottom,
Yeah.
the type coverage and the stats just pale in comparison to everything you're about to see.
They're gonna have to slap an assault vest on everything every week.
You got Snorlax.
Yeah, that's the king of gold, silver, crystal right there.
True. Just time travel 7 generations back real quick.
Yeah. Hey, except this challenge of GSCOU.
Yeah.
I knew something funny was going on whenever I saw third pick Mudsdale.
It's messed up. He sniped me on the third pick Mudsdale. What was the guy to do?
Bribe him.
Maybe next time.
One day, me and my wet horse will be united.
I hate every word that just came out of your mouth.
Yeah. My biggest question is why is mud still wet? Look, it looks very dry to me
It's
considering.
even a ground type. If it was wet, it'd be dead.
No, look at it. That is a damp boy.
this. I'm gonna sleep better at night if I forget I heard that.
Me too. What a horrible day to have ears.
Yeah.
Hey,
For
at
everyone
least,
listening, I'd like to apologize for that.
no, it's gonna get more unhinged from here. I can almost guarantee you it.
Oh, most definitely.
The one good thing about this team, at least the stealth rocks are going up, and he's knocking some heavy duty boots off or something. I mean,
Yeah, that is true.
that
Look at that right
Rangers
there. He
is
could bring a
going
full
up.
6.
Bro, no momentum on an entire team is crazy. By the way, I just saw that.
Yo, that's crazy. But
Not
hey,
even
he
one
doesn't need to
U-turn on?
pivot. He doesn't need to pivot. His mods are going in. They are staying there because they're that
Fair
heavy.
enough.
Indeed.
All right, I think that's enough said about the funny, fat ass team that is the Sandiford Whalers. Fitting name, by the way. Folio's Nat Dex. So let's move on to number 11. Shall we? We have the Rock and Roll of Rage, Coach Jaybird, and this looks like a VGC draft, which makes sense because from what I've read, Jaybird is a VGC player who thought that this was a VGC division and is playing singles for the first time. However, that being said, drafting dual weather with no setter is absolutely wild. I think
Yeah.
I think that mixed with the overall imbalance in types just is what threw me off initially.
Like, I can't tell if this wanted to be a Sun or a Rain team originally.
Oh, it could be both.
Yeah.
Horn,
It could
at least.
well be both, but like, if it tries to be both now, one side is going to greatly struggle. Because if you go Rain, yeah, the wake benefits a lot, but then you can't spam Hurricane. Rain. Sorry, I meant Sun. You can go Sun, wake benefits a lot, but then Torn can't spam Hurricane. Urshi Rapid can't hit as hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those things where looking at it, I was just like, okay, this is a rain team, but it kind of beats the whole, oh, I'm going to click Sunny Day against it. But then you look at it, there's no rain setter. Pelipper is free on the board, by the way.
I just want to know what this Doug Trio and Lycanroc are doing.
Their best.
Yeah.
Yeah. Moderately fast, moderately hard hitting. They're out there
God,
trying.
Ludicolo just he'd love some rain because all of his abilities besides own tempo benefit great. No, they can only be used by rain.
No, I mean yes, but manual rain.
That is true.
I mean, if
Manual
you want to
rain.
spend the move flop for it every, then like have fun with that.
I know.
Can't wait for that damp rock, torn tea, everything.
True.
I mean, if there's a Lilligant Hisui, there's always an 80% chance to just win the game on spot.
That is true.
It's like
Yeah.
the Iron Bundle, but like makes you more frustrated. At
I
least
will
it
never
has
trust
other
Hustle with
options.
anything.
At least it has chlorophyll.
Well,
For some
it
teams.
would if you didn't have to have to
Manual
click the
sub.
button manually every time.
Fair enough.
You know, it's Sunny Day Hilligant time. Let's go.
Yeah.
I can't.
Nah, Sunny Day Volk.
True. You know what? Keep Hustle anyway. Bluff chlorophyll.
That's diabolical.
That is one diabolical activity. I will say, for the value that they were at, I think I really like the Terra Captains. I
Oh yeah.
don't know how I feel about Lilligant because I've not used it or see enough of it, but I know Jolteon's an absolute menace with Terra. I've used it and loved it.
Yeah,
that
Logan
thing is-
Hisui is a menace. Like Victory Dance,
Yeah.
like it's got because really you just need Leaf Blade, Solar Blade, Close Combat, Ice Spinner. That's most of its things taken
It gets
care of.
triple axle now.
Ooh, it
Oh
does.
god, that's terrifying.
That is
Yeah, but just
cool
like
as that.
Rocky Helmet, shit ass. What are you gonna do about it?
Yeah, I've used Lilligant and VGC before. I can confidently say that thing is really fun to use and genuinely a very solid user of Terra because it already hits hard. So being able to hit hard plus like having the opportunity to give yourself a defensive Terra and set up victory dances more effectively. Maybe even a second one if you're feeling spicy. That thing is dangerous.
That's what he did is week 1 and won 4-0. Logan clicked victory dance twice and won.
Yeah, that thing is
Yeah.
not to be underestimated for
think-
any circumstances.
I think I really like the Terra for the draft. I'm not sure how I'd feel on ladder, but being able to bring like Terra Grounder Ghost for the Golden Goes and stuff that usually would.
Yeah.
Oh man, have we talked about Urshifu Rapid yet? That mon is absolute dumb.
You know,
As a VGC player, I'd rather not talk about it.
Fair enough.
it's crazy they gave the Urshifu sword dance now. That
They had it last gen too.
no,
I think did it?
Sword
Did
Dance
they
was a
not?
Gen 9 edition.
Huh.
Sword Dance was a Gen 9 edition.
I could have
a-
sworn it was back there in Gen 8 too.
Oh well. I just know this mod has truly some of the stupidest calcs ever in Rain, especially.
Yeah.
I will say, this team is fast, and like, while that's good, it can also be bad because essentially everything under base 96 speed can run max bulk.
Mhm.
Yep.
Like, you got the speed, but there's not very many layers to it. So it's going to make stuff like Wake and Urshifu a little tougher to pull off when everything gets to run max bulk.
Indeed.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
And one thing I didn't notice about this team until just now, Lycanroc and Dugtrio are the only hazard setters.
Yes.
Oh my god, you're right.
So Lycanroc is coming with Stealth Rock's Endeavor if you want hazards.
And
Mhm.
then a Celorock, let's go.
Yep.
Yeah, that's not great. I didn't realize that. Anyways, I think we can move on to number 10. And it's a Zamazenta team. You usually don't see those this low in power rankings. I don't know. Like, I know I said hazard removal was few and far between, but like, yikes!
Yeah,
Wait, did the ball hawk dock might be messed up? Did Zapdos
Yeah,
lose Defog in Gen 9?
Unfortunately, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I wasn't sure, but still, yikes! I think in this meta, I think you either have to have a premier singular remover, preferably a spinner, or more than one like okay ones, because hazards and hyper offense as a whole is very oppressive, especially without removal.
Yeah, and this team genuinely loves like being able to exist without hazards.
Nothing. It doesn't want to run heavy duty boots every week. Stuff like Gouge, even like Claude and Zapdos don't want to, and Cleavor don't want to have to be forced to run the boots every week.
yeah.
Yeah.
He can't. And in case this isn't made apparent, the Zamazenta is forced to be crowned, so he can't run regular Zamazenta, so he can't even
Thank
run
God.
boots on the Zamazenta.
Yeah, that thing's gonna get chipped down real quick.
Unfortunately, the first matchup for him was the Hammer Up matchup, and it got 3 spikes up and just kind
Yeah.
of chipped down everything from there.
Yeah, once hazards go up against this team, they're not leaving. Unless you want to run Defog Cleavor every week, but then
There's
you
so
have
much
to run Defog
missing-
Cleaver.
Yeah, there's so much missing missing potential or opportunity costs associated with it. And Aloe especially
And I
now
really-
probably is gonna run heavy duty boots, but like that thing is switching out so much that
It's not going to be able to take full
Yeah,
advantage
exactly.
of Regenerator.
Mhm.
But yeah, if this team just had better removal, like the fact you have Grimmsnarl setting up screens for the top 3 of Zama, Gren, Zapdos, even Gouging Fire.
Gouge
Cleavor's
loves
also a bit of a
screens.
menace too. Yeah, like if this team just had better removal, like
easily
Let's
like
go.
top 5 at least.
yeah,
I-
exactly.
I would have absolutely loved to see another Terra Captain other than Zapdos. To be honest. Like I get it, but like especially in this format wherever we're quote unquote Terra taxed by a couple points, I think this is a perfect low tier Terra spot. Like Magna Ton, the 3 guy, He
Yeah.
was
Yeah,
3 points. Belly Bolt was like 5 points. I I just think if you're trying Terra Electric type, there are other ways to go. Even if you weren't trying Terra Electric type and just get a different Terra cap in general, I would love to see a more mid tier or low tier, and that way you could probably better your removal with your remaining points.
Yeah,
definitely.
because one of those things where you're not really gonna Terra Zapdos for a defensive reason because Electric Flying's a really great type to have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can't think of many possibilities in which you'd actually want to Terra out of that typing.
Well, it's like even then, it's like, would you rather do that than Terra your Greninja?
Yeah, Greninja's gonna be hogging the Terra almost every single week.
Yeah,
And even then, it probably only like extremely wants it with Battle Bond. I'm not sure. I don't like the Protean Terra interaction. It feels weird.
I'm a. What
Yeah.
is the? Because isn't it like once you Terra Protean just stops altogether?
I think so. I believe so.
Yeah, I believe that's correct.
I don't know.
Yeah,
There's good parts and there's bad parts. It's just,
Mhm.
I think I can definitely see it being successful, but whenever you look at the other teams, I think you'll definitely see that there is a spike or a
Mhm.
power gap between those and then this team.
exactly.
Definitely, yeah.
I do like the mascot pick though. Fan of it.
Oh yeah, I just now noticed that too. Although I gotta say, Gouging Fire is a menace.
Oh, I'm using it right now. Love it. It's so versatile.
Yeah, because this was my week one opponent, and it was just like if he brings Gouging Fire, clicks DD once, maybe twice, it's all over.
Everyone runs Heat Crash on. I'm like, this thing is like the size of a car at least. Run Heat Crash.
Yeah, that thing genuinely hits so hard. I've been really wanting to use Gouging Fire for a long time now.
It's so fun. I will say this is something that didn't get brought up. Aloe passing into Clodsire, Zapdos, and Zamazenta Crown is absolutely disgusting.
Yeah,
Yeah, 100%. It helps a little bit with the fact that they get constantly chipped down by spikes, but it doesn't remedy the problem
Yeah,
completely.
Exactly. Like
yeah, it's
you
just
have
one
to
of those
get.
things
I
where
think you have to get 3 layers of spikes to even consider when you're wish passing. In this case, it to consider it lost progress. Like even
yeah,
too with Aloe's wish passing ability, you can still benefit from it.
it's just one of those issues where unless you're weak to water, you could like freely set up your hazards on Aloe itself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That thing's really passive, and it lost Toxic this generation, didn't it?
It got it got
Yeah,
alluring voice at the least, which means you can't set up on it like you used to be able to. At least not as well, but
yeah,
it's
Right, because
still
it's a sound move,
pretty.
even sub doesn't save you.
Yeah, it's just still really passive.
Yeah.
yeah. And being really passive on a team where Cleaver is your only removal, that ain't gonna fly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you get a nice double or you click U turn on Aloe into your spike setter, it's Jover.
Mhm.
All right, I think with that we can move on to our number 9 team. We have the Alarcon team and Coach Christian IAC. Do you guys want to start off with this one? Or you want me to take it since this was my week 1 opponent?
So
You could take it.
yeah, you
Oh,
can start it
alright.
off.
All right. So essentially, I think that since we record this after week 1 happens, or as it's finishing up, I think there is a dynamic where, um, as we prepped for teams, it makes it a little not biased, but makes it a little harder to put it further down because this team was so difficult to prep for, or not necessarily difficult, but it became really evident that Shedtail Psychozar into Azumarill is devastating. Like if you get a turn wrong and let Cycle in for free, it could just be wraps in like 3 turns. And
Oh yeah, absolutely.
that's the same with Klefki being the setter and of screens and spikes and having T Wave. Like there's just so many ways that if you make a couple turns wrong, it could just be Jove.
Mhm.
And I think
Yeah,
go ahead.
yeah, I have a Cyclozar in another league, and what you're saying is 100% true. This thing with Shedtail can help things just get out of control real quick.
Yeah, like on this team, like Shedtail into Azu or Shedtail into Urshifu, like odds just all over from there.
Even random Garg with Curse
Yeah.
or Line Defense.
Yeah.
And actually having to face that and prep for that exact scenario made me respect the team a lot harder or a lot more. However, I think it also is a little bit of bias of me being a hyper offensive player, hating stall like Slowking, Gliscor, Terra Dirge, Terra Knuckle. And so knowing what those things can do scared me. So I put it at 7. Goomba and Fat Rat obviously felt a little bit different, and I'll let them take their point of view on it.
So do you want to take the charge on this, Fat Rat, or do you want me to?
I'll let you take care of it first.
Alrighty, so first glance, when I was like kind of looking into this team, I realized Slowking, Galar, and Skeledirge are tied for the highest special attack on the team. Which, don't get me wrong, 110 is pretty good, but especially in the case of G King, where you're mainly going to be running max HP, like more defensive, more spadef on it. And then same with Skeledirge too. You're going to want more bulky sets on those Skeledirge, Slowking than a special offensive. Obviously, Skeledirge, Torch Song can get out of crazy. Yeah, those two being your high special attackers kind of set me off. Also, four ground weak mons. 3 if you use Terra to be resistant or not weak to ground. And then really you only got Gliscor that can switch into ground moves, which don't get me wrong. Gliscor is a fantastic mon, but that's just one read away from an ice beam to the face and then no more ground resist.
Yeah. So, like, if anyone had a Mamoswine, this thing would be having so much fun against this team.
If anybody
exactly.
had Ursula Blood Moon, it might just be Jover.
It really would.
Yeah. Man, good thing no one drafted Ursula Blood Moon, isn't that right, fellas?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody we've looked at so far has.
That's
exactly.
called foreshadowing.
And I like object permanence.
Yeah. So another reason that could bump this team down is the break. Like, obviously, it's very good defensively with the 4 mons I mentioned earlier, but the breakers is Urshifu, Electrode, and Azu. Which, don't get me wrong, they're all pretty good. Electrode's got 80 special attack, but it gets the moves and the ability to run damage boosting items like Life Orb, Spec, so it could be a little scarier. But once Urshifu and Azu are down, or maybe 1 or 2 of the 3 mentioned don't come, it becomes very difficult to win games, especially against fatter teams, because you can't break them. Right? Like, and then if you have to sacrifice a slot to Cyclozar or Klefki, then you really can't break him. You're relying on, like, Gliscor's Earthquakes to do enough chip to be able to kill stuff. Like, it's not passive, but at the same time, there's just some matchups. It gets extremely hard to be able to kill mons on the opposing teams.
And
Yeah,
also
just
with
lack of pressure. That's
sorry,
the word I was thinking of.
No,
exactly.
I was going to counteract with what JSauce was saying, where if you're not bringing Urshifu, Azu, and then your 4 bulky mons, you're kind of missing out. This team kind of has to bring Cyclozar or Klefki because those 2 are the only removals on the team.
I think Klefki lost this gen, didn't it?
I think so, but I cannot confirm.
Let me check real quickly.
Gliscor did.
It did. It did.
It did. Then
Gliscor also lost Defog.
Then yeah, Cyclozar's definitely got to come to every game then, because if not, spikes are going up. Nothing else can be done about it.
And this team, because it's so bulky, it wants to keep spikes and rocks off for as long as possible, and with Cyclozar being the only way to do that. And the fact it has to shed tail, it can't take full advantage of regen.
I mean, it's one of those things where to shed tail, but it wants to, especially with an Azu being brought. I don't know. The walls do not want to hold boots. Dirge, Knuckle, Slowking don't want to hold boots all the time. They want to be able to get leftovers.
Exactly.
Yeah, or in some cases even like throat spray Skeledirge if you have like a really good matchup.
Yeah,
Yeah, like throat sprays, rocky helmets.
it's also another case
Or like
of
a resistance berry.
yeah, if you got a mon under like base 95, you can pretty much run max bulk. Like you can throw like
Mhm.
you can throw like 16 EVs to outspeed Gliscor, and then just put the rest in bulk.
Yeah, it's one of those things where really the only mons you have to worry about investing speed in the counter is Urshifu and Cyclozar, because
Yeah.
Gliscor, some weeks you can bring an offensive set, but most weeks it's going to be your bulky pivot.
Yeah, and then on my walls,
Yep.
specifically like Blood Moon and Pre Arena, I ran enough to outspeed Dirge, which to be fair was a sizable chunk, but it's not like Dirge is ever bringing speed, so it's one of
Yeah.
those things where like you can kind of bank on it week in, week out.
Yeah.
Also, no
Yeah.
Wish Passer's a little sad.
Yeah, but to be fair, all of his walls outside
Get
of
recovery.
Gliscor have black off or recover.
Yeah. I will say I do like the momentum, and there's a lot of things I do like about this team. I just wish that this feels like one of those teams where I think instead of getting like Azu, an expensive Cyclozar, I think, and even Klefki, I think you can just budget your points out for like 4 or 5 mons that support the team more. All right. Moving on, our number 8 team is the Newfoundland Growlithe and Coach Cambria Bold, with the rankings of 9, 8, and 7.
You know,
At
when I
least
first
the
started,
fairies for the rest of us.
no fairies for us guys.
Wigglytuff
and he's
is
gonna take-
legitimately the best fairy on this team. Don't at me.
No, you're not ready for the Terra Fairy Mew 1 week, so that way he can have
True.
5 fairies.
You'll only bring 5 Pokemon that week, so like full fairy team.
The
100% fairy.
The quintuple fairy is a devious maneuver. Yeah, this is we had a lot of things to say about this team earlier today, mainly revolving about Snow.
Good old Snow, and the only removal on this team being Regieleki.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just
Yeah,
wish that this Snow with not 1, 2 setters with Slowking, by the way, had more abusers than Baxcalibur.
Yeah.
Slap a Beartic in there or something at the end. Beartic is very
You should have
scary.
selected us as Titan.
Or well, that thing went round 3.
Yeah, that is true. That thing did go round 3.
That probably was on the radar
Thought
though.
that thing was-
So Titan's a fat ass. That joint is like large. He's like tall too.
Mhm.
What a hefty lad.
Yeah.
He is a hefty lad. But yeah, no Beartic kind of made me a little sad. I'm not gonna lie.
Mhm. Yeah, and don't get me wrong, Mew, I would not remove that as a Terra captain. Rillaboom, it's like, realistically with Rillaboom, you're only going to really Terra grass it, or maybe a defensive Terra every now and then.
Rillaboom
Like,
can get
throw on a
away without Terra. It's done it for
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
all last gen.
but yeah, throw on like a Terra Beartic on this team. Ooh, it's going to start cooking.
And then you have extra points somewhere else.
hmm
You
Anyways,
can drop Charizard for a real Mon.
for real. I
What
keep
do you
it
mean?
50 because Stealth Rocks are up.
Yeah.
Yeah, so any Chople Steel type is 6-0ing this team, by the way.
100%, yeah.
And then outside of that, what was the other thing we were talking about? Fire resists?
Yeah,
The
fire
one
resist-
fire resist besides Charizard. We don't count Charizard, or at least I don't. Slow
Yeah,
King.
the fire resist being Slowking and Charizard, like, and especially with a Snow team, like, it has 2 ice types. Granted, only one is weak to fire. And then, Baxcalibur with the Thermal Exchange. you don't want to hit it with a fire move per se, but then
But like
you know it's just one of those.
if you see it in snow, there's a fair chance that's also just Ice Body.
Yeah,
Yeah.
true.
Terra Ice Mew. I figured out the
Rue,
formulation.
Terra Ice Assault Vest Mew for the like perfect amounts of bulk.
Yeah, I can use spec with the blizzard.
Rue. The coolest set around.
Yeah.
Outside, oh wait, no, never mind. I was about to make a really stupid statement, but yeah, I don't know what the hell Rillaboom is doing here, honestly, because Ticaton and Regieleki don't really need the grassy terrain.
hmm
I guess just they're just probably because it's a good mon, offers priority.
Yeah.
I really do like
solid grass
Wigglytuff if it wasn't your fifth fairy type. Or fourth. If it wasn't your fourth fairy type. With that being said, I don't absolutely hate the team.
Yeah.
And it definitely
Well,
can win
they-
some games, but it's looking a
Yeah.
little bit like a one-trick pony right now.
It's one of those things where you got to put respect on Iron Valley and Excalibur's name because those two, obviously, crazy good mons. Like
Yeah, I don't know.
those.
Every time I face Ninetales Alola, I make sure to always have a Mon Faster with Iron Head or any Steel move, or just a Scarf or a Scarfer with said move, and I always just lead it. That's always my strat against
Yeah.
it, and to try bait it or something, and ice or end snow as early as possible. Now, to be fair,
Most
there
of
is
the time you want to
Slow
run
King.
Ninetales lead.
Yeah. I think the Slow King makes that a little bit better, but still, this motherfucker's gonna be carrying the world on his back. And
Mhm.
yes, that was a
Yeah.
stolen joke.
And the main thing with Ninetales on this team is since the only spinner on the team is Regieleki, it's kind of forced to run boots a good chunk of the time because you don't get to abuse the light cake play, or else you're taking 25 on switching and you only got 5 switch-ins.
That's another thing with Slow King being on this team, though, is at least you have to kill both of them to completely eliminate
Yeah.
Snow. But like, how much does that matter if Baxcalibur is the only abuser? It all ties back in a circle.
Yeah.
All circles around.
Now,
Honestly, like Jsaw said earlier, just grab Beartic. That solves a lot of problems.
not all of them, but
Fair
solves a
to-
lot, especially if you Terra it for like Terra Fight or Terra Ground to hit steals.
Yeah.
Or is Alolan Sand Slash in Paldea decks? Because that could go.
Yes, that's another
That
thing.
could be
I
nice on this team,
suggested,
too.
but either one would have just been better than this Charizard, especially with Terra. I
Yeah.
will say,
Certainly.
Iron Valiant and Baxcalibur under Veil is absolutely silly.
Oh,
I mean,
most definitely.
Those things are going to be the only thing abusing it, unless it's a setup Mew type of week. But they're two of the best at it, so it's going to be hard to prep for, I feel like, just because of all the things we mentioned. But it's just not as scary as some of these other teams. We were discussing
Exactly.
earlier. This is where the first tier, the quote unquote tier, the unofficial tiers we made, kind of ends, and we start to see a trend upwards of a lot of teams being close together. But yeah, this team could definitely win more than a few games if played right.
Exactly.
I'm excited to see it.
Definitely.
So, starting off kind of this new tier, or maybe it is the end of the old one, we have the Flippin' Flamingos and Coach LS rocking the Sand Core with Terra Enamoris and a Munchlax. Boys,
That
what do you think
Munchlax is
of
about
this
to go
team?
bonkers. The Munchlax is going to go bonkers. He's going to click belly drum. It's all going to be over.
This is a 2-point Munchlax, by the way.
Ooh.
Which, like,
2
for good
points on
reason,
the Munchlax.
it's very bulky,
Mhm.
especially with Eviolite, but, like, I just don't know if I've seen it before. Can't remember it, at least.
Munchlax is a pretty solid, like, low point mon.
I know, but I feel like the tiers are so watered down at this point that I saw some absolute demons and 2-pointers that I'm just kind of surprised that Munchlax went, to be honest, instead of something like, I think Morgrim is still on the board, and just some other really good mons that usually aren't 2 points.
Yeah, there was a
Anyway.
lot of value this season.
There was. There was. And, I mean,
But-
there's always a chance to change it. You know, we got 12 coaches. One of them drafted the heaviest Pokemon. So it's pretty much 11 teams drafted. And just a very value-filled board. So if anybody out there is looking to change their team, eventually wouldn't recommend it directly after the power rankings. You're going to go ham. There's absolutely potential. Now, actually
Yeah.
talking about LS's team, Terra Enamoris, Jesus. Switch-ins, not
I-
found.
I hate that thing so much. It's
Yeah.
so good.
It is. This is, at least, if you flip this physical and the special, this is kind of what Terrakion wanted to be. If you really use your imagination, I compare the two quite a lot because of the similar speed stat and then the attacking. But realistically, Enamoris can run physical, even though most people deal with it specially. It's fairy with earth power hits everything for neutral at the worst. It's such an unreal Pokemon, and this thing also gets agility, calm mind, specs, and scarf are good on it. Heavy duty boots. The list goes on and on and on. And the team is more than one Mon. Wise words of wisdom. There's an Excadrill on this team. Now, I don't know how I feel about
Can't go wrong
Terra
with Excadrill.
I've not used it. I've been weary about it, but I know a lot of people love that Mon.
Yeah, there's definitely like some matchups like this. Now it's like even with Terra Excadrill, because before it's just like, okay, I'll just keep my bulky grass around to beat it so that way it can't 6-0 me. Well, now it can just Terra Fire, Terra Blast you, you're gone.
Exactly.
I'm slowly coming around. I was one of Deoxys Speed's biggest haters until very recently.
Still am.
I will say I do not blame you. But I'm starting to kind of get where the lovers of it are coming from. I do think sometimes it's a little overpriced, but in the third round, fuck is a budget. Like, I don't know what that is.
That's what I'm.
True.
I mean, it kind of
Especially
goes really hard with hazards just for Enamoris to clean up with Scarf, Terra Fairy, Moonblast.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those things where Gen 9, very hyper offensive meta, so it's just like lead
Naturally
Deoxys
gets
Speed, get
better.
up your hazards. Set up your hazards, go out into your Terra Enamoris, just win the game from there.
Yeah, and then there's a Tyranitar, obviously there for the Excadrill. And then later down the board, there's a Houndstone to also abuse it. Thank fuck somebody actually drafted a secondary abuser of Weather.
Yeah.
Or we're seeing Weather with a setter. Like, at least someone got it right. I really like Cinderace, to be honest. I don't know how it's going to work with Dio Speed and then like Tyranitar Excadrill, but I don't think it's going to be the Court Changer set most of the time, but it's still going to put in work.
Yeah.
It really bones the bulky grasses that Excadrill fears, and even Enamoris to an extent doesn't like. Like, you know, if you got a Vileplume matchup or something, I don't know, it's the first grass poison that popped in my head. You send out Cinderace and goob his ass.
Yeah, I remember me and Fat Rat were kind of talking about this a little bit. An issue we saw with this team is Mons with like Enamoris, Dio Speed, Cinderace, and then even Noivern there. All really don't appreciate the chip from Sand.
Yeah. And Vaporeon too, because it wants to stay healthy with leftovers for as long as possible. But
Yeah.
if it stands up, it's going to be struggling to stay healthy.
Exactly.
I will
One of those
say,
things.
one of the... Sorry, you can go ahead.
You're fine. I was just going to say, fantastic team overall, but again, Sand, you got the Excadrill to help with the Sand and the Houndstone there to abuse the Sand, but then like the rest of the team just kind of gets worn down by the Sand itself.
Yeah, if somebody has a Scarfer faster than Enamoris, then it really becomes hard once, you know, in that late game whenever Sand is up and you got hazards on your side that you haven't removed. It's kind of hard to win at that point. And then what I was originally gonna say was this team was originally lower for me, but it's mainly because there's just a lot of mods I hate using or don't feel comfortable with is the right term. Like Dio Speed, like I've been coming around on it. I'm still not at the point where I would draft it personally, especially where it's going in the current meta. So you got Dio Speed. I've never been an Excadrill lover. I'm pretty neutral on it. Same with Tyranitar. Now together they work fine. I've been a Noivern hater. Vaporeon's okay, and like it's just a bunch of mods I don't like slapped on one team. So obviously I'm a little biased, but it's not like they work together that well, anyways.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm in a similar boat. There's a lot of Pokemon on this team that I don't like. Noivern I love in VGC, but I'm not too big of it on it in singles. Cinderace I love. Everything else I could take it or leave it in my own personal drafts at best, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, this is another one of those teams where, if you have a bad matchup into it, it's a hard one to win. So I can definitely see his team going to playoffs or something. This is
Yeah.
why
Yeah,
this is why
absolutely.
power rankings don't matter. It's all behind, what matchups you get or who's coaching the team.
Mhm.
Like for all I fucking know, Drazer could go undefeated because he's such a good coach and gets so good matchups. And at the end of the day, Pokemon's a luck based game.
That is true.
So
If I get swept by the Regigigas, I will cry.
I'm setting
That is
up
a
Hail
promise.
Florida. I'm setting up Hail Florida to Titan sweep.
Oh my god.
base.
I'm personally clicking Hail for him.
But yeah, and I will go ahead and mention it because I feel obligated to. This is kind of where you see the shift in teams because the average of this team was 7 1/3. The average of our next team is 2 points lower than that. I think that's perfect segue to get into it. It's the
Mhm.
Mega Lex Charizard, a team I'm pretty high on. The other two, not the rest, but
Yeah.
five, we go from 7 1/3 to 5 1/3. So it really is a parallel that we're moving towards the quote unquote better teams, which is all subjective because this in my original
Yeah,
list,
because
like the JSauce vibe test list, this team was number one. Since then, I've moved it down. I still think it's absolutely scary. That's the one word summary I would use for this team is scary.
yeah, scary, horrifying. This is the team they make horror
Petrifying.
movies off of.
Literally.
Yeah.
I saw Paul. I'm like, okay, Paul, a couple
You
second
can't go
pick.
wrong with
That's
Paul.
yeah, the second pick. That's pretty standard. Go down. Oh, end of round 2, Palafin. Oh, that's a little scary. Third round Chiyu. Fourth round Clefable. Fifth round Corviknight. What the fuck? I just wow.
Yeah,
I had not. I was just flabbergasted seeing the roster.
yeah. This draft is pretty much just a early Scarlet and Violet OU team with a Clefable.
Mm-hmm. This is Top Heavy
Yeah,
the
it's
movie.
genuinely terrifying.
Like, I don't know. Outside of Breloom and Quagsire, I'm a big fan of all of the mods on this team. I don't like. I've used Corviknight. It's fine. It does what Corviknight does.
Yeah.
I'm not in love with it. Clefable, it's so boring most of the time. However, Magic Guard Life Orb sets are very based, so I don't absolutely hate it.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what this Terra Clefable does this season, just because, one of those things where Clefable's main thing is the fact it's a fairy type. It kind of does whatever it wants, but now it has that additional layer of versatility of now it's just like, oh, your team's weak to Bolt Beam coverage. I'm going to Terra Electric Clefable, and it's going to be over for you.
True.
Indeed.
But also, at the same time, that Terra slot could have been open to, I don't know, something like the Dunsparce is just the first thing off the top of my head because it's right there. I've seen Terra to Dunsparce do some absolutely stupid stuff.
God,
Stuff
I
you'd
love Terra
never
Normal Boom
imagine.
Burst.
Yeah,
Yeah.
literally. I've seen Terra Normal Boom Burst, Oko, Urshifus. I've seen defensively with Coil or Calm Mind, but it's great with both of them. And sometimes it's just unkillable with like Terra Water Roost or Terra Ghost or something. the main reason that this got brought me down is the more quote unquote advanced stuff, which is just at the bottom of the team. The stats are pretty piss poor overall. The speed, especially, you jump from Pult all the way down to Palafin. And yes, Chiu's probably going to be a Scarf Merchant, but still base 100 base.
Mm-hmm.
Then after that, it goes to Breloom at base 70. So you're really allowing a lot of Mons to run max HP. I believe in the match that they played today, you saw max HP Hydreigon because it was able to.
Yeah, like
and
a
it kind of
more
just ate
bulkier
the team
Hydreigon.
apart. Yeah. And then
And also,
go ahead.
something with this team as well is the real ways it kind of gets around those bulky waters is Breloom and Magnezone, which, don't get me wrong, fine Pokemon, but those being, because realistically you only have one slot open for one of those two mons because you're bringing the first 5 every week.
100%, yeah.
Yeah, so only having Breloom or Magnezone Breakwaters every week is a bit rough.
It wouldn't be as much of a problem if we didn't have Palafin and Chiyu,
Mm-hmm.
because both are absolutely shafted by any bulky water type, which is an essential part of Draft League and
Exactly.
has been forever. It doesn't help that, like, I don't know, like Pult gets Thunderbolt, but realistically it's not doing that much unless it's Specs.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't love to be Specs for this team. Not at least every week. And if you're using Pult to be Specs every week, then you're not getting the value of Pult, like, at all.
Exactly.
The main thing that really deterred me away from putting this at like 1 or whatever, no poison type at all, not even grounded poison, so you can't even set or absorb T spikes. The stats I already touched on earlier. And then just like the first 5 are coming every week. It's something we touched on. I just feel like at that point you could have combined two of Breloom, Quagsire, Zone, the Dunsparce into a better 6 Pokemon and get maybe a pretty decent 7th Pokemon that just go mid for 8 and 9 and be completely fine. I think this team.
And one thing.
Go ahead.
Sorry. And one thing to kind of mention about the fact how we keep mentioning you're bringing the first 5 every week. This team, Corv, is the only removal on it, so you're set every week for running Roost, Defog, U-Turn, one of Ironhead, Brave Bird, Body Press. Like, that's pretty much the set you have to run every week.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so a good taunt user is going to be a pain.
Yeah, especially with like Quag and I guess Pult just outspeeds it, but Quag, Clefable does a lot of damage, even to the Dunsparce. I don't know.
The speed tiers and the solo Corv removal, and it was a horrible week 1 matchup for LC going against the Goldengo week 1.
Oh my. Yeah, it's very powerful, don't get me wrong. I just think that, especially from 2 to 5, which you're bringing most weeks, all fulfill like pretty much the same role every week. So I think it can definitely get very predictable at sometimes, especially in a given matchup where everything has to run its ladder set pretty much.
Yeah.
It's just it's one of those teams where if you get a horrible matchup, then it's kind of Jover before it starts.
Yeah, unfortunate for them.
Yeah, but that's the pros and cons of drafting top heavy.
Yeah, exactly. So matchup dependent. Just like you either have your great matchups or your horrendous ones.
Yeah, that's why I drafted more budgeted this season because I'm not doing top heavy again. I hated it in PBA. Just bringing the same sets every week. All right, so in the 5th slot, we're moving on to our top 5 now, with an average of 4. So at this point, we're getting very close. Every single team can be interchanged with each other, and I can definitely see, the 5 slot and the 1-2 slot switching. Like I wouldn't be upset by it.
Mhm.
Fat Rat, this is his number one team. So I would like to
Yeah.
let him do the honor
Yeah,
of
take the
starting us
floor.
off.
Right. So one of the things I value the most in teams is versatility. And Latias is the queen of versatility with Terra in my eyes. It can go Terra Poison to be immune to ground. Only weakness is Psychic, which you have Darkrai right there. Terrifying any of those. You do not want to mess around with Darkrai. Quaquaval can set up really easily with Swords Dance, Aqua Step, Moxie. This thing will take games real quick. Terapagos, Serena, both good ways to remove hazards. Sandy Shock, solid way to set them. Orthworm with Shed Tail, immune to ground, which a lot of this team does fear, like Pheasantipity and Arcanine and Sandy Shocks. So that's one of your weaknesses negated. You can Shed Tail to like Latias, Quaquaval, Darkrai, set up absolutely nuke things later on. Pheasantipity is a grounded poison, getting rid of opposing toxic spikes. Serena hits relatively hard. Rapid Spinner. Arcanine Hisui with a band. Nothing wants to switch in, and it has extreme speed, so it's an amazing late game cleaner. I just genuinely think this team has it all, besides a ghost type, which would really help.
Yeah.
Funny thing,
Unfortunately, that got brought up, one, after the week 1 matchup, and two, after we already had our rankings in place. So if it matters, then no, it doesn't, because this list is set in stone.
yeah, exactly. This list is pure facts, no opinions, no bias whatsoever.
I've never been biased in my life.
Yeah, exactly.
What's bias?
Funny thing about this team, when I was doing my initial look through of everything, I had this team in the 10. And then I just kept looking more and more into it. I was like, wait, hang on. They kind of cooking. And then it just eventually got moved up to the 5.
Yeah. So funny story. I was actually, I had Darkrai typed out in my draft, or in the draft channel, right before my pick, and I was asking people, everybody I knew was getting a DM, hey, what do you think of Darkrai? And eventually, I got convinced against it, and just picked Meowscarada instead. Darkrai is good 60% of the time. Good subjective, but I feel like for the stats it has, it should be doing way more than what it does. I think that's a good way to describe Darkrai. And I've not even touched on the rest of the team. I've seen Latias do some absolutely unholy things with Terra.
Oh, that thing is terrifying.
It's
pun intended.
Awful. And Quaquaval didn't even need Terra to be terrifying. Also, pun not intended. But now, you know what? Hey, that's a nice bulky warrior you got there. Hey, shit ass, catch this Terra Electric Terra Blast. All of a sudden, I'm +2 or +1. And then I think Terapagos is scarier than most. That mon is also very unholy, even without the big form. It's unfortunate that the baby stats are there at the bottom.
Yeah, it's one of those.
I love Sandy Shocks. I love Sandy Shocks. Serena, Pheasantipity, fine, whatever. I don't really have a lot to say about them, but I'm fine with both of them. Orthworm, even without Shed Tail, in my opinion, was the best or the second best low tier steel or budget steel out there. And now that can Shed Tail into stuff like Darkrai, Quavo, Latias, even Terapagos, is absolutely horrifying. And it's not as good as Cyclozar because no regenerator, but you can just slap a citrus on there.
Mm-hmm.
Do some funny stuff. And then finally, the mascot pick, Arcanine Hisui. The switch-ins are Great Tusk.
No, yeah, the switch-ins are hope he misses.
85% of the time there are no switch-ins. At least it's 5% more accurate than Hydro Pump.
Yeah. I refuse to believe Head Smash is 85% accurate. There was one day I missed half of my head.
What?
I hit Head Smash 10 times, I hit half of them.
When I'm using Arcanine Hisui, it's 20%. Head Smash is 20%. But when I'm facing it, all of a sudden, motherfucker has no guard and Rock Head combined into one.
I've never seen it miss.
But yeah, it checks all of the boxes for me. Speed tiers,
Yeah.
passable. I mean, it's not the best in the world, but it's definitely better than average. Hazards, hazard removal, setup, plus the shed tail, great momentum, great support. It's just a very good put together team. I think it might go higher if I re-ranked, but I'm satisfied with it being 6.
Yeah.
I will say the one thing I noticed is the immediate power isn't absolutely there. Like you'd think it would be, but stuff like Latios prefers to be set up
Mhm.
at least once. Same with like Quavo and even Terapagos to an extent. So it's a little deceiving on that front, but
Yeah.
I mean, that's all you can really do. Oh, I was going to mention the fighting weakness. Pheasantipede is a quadresist, but how many times are you bringing Pheasantipede on a team that's loaded? As well
Yeah,
as
exactly.
Latios being Terra, so if it's not Terra Poison or Fairy for some reason, the team definitely just gets smoked by fighting.
Yeah.
Which I know Fat Rat already touched on, but I thought I would kind of give my 2 cents on it. So moving into number 4, we have one of our own, Mr. Goomba himself.
I hate that guy.
I can't believe
think
he
he's
thinks
alright.
that. I can't believe he thinks 1 billion lions would beat Pokemon.
They do. I've done the calculations, but that's for another time.
They just form a giant lion mech.
Yeah, look at the mascot. Look at the logo right there.
Yeah, this team
yeah.
is just unholy. Like, JSOS 5 check, the power levels, insane. Ogerpon Hearthflame should not be allowed to Terra. This thing does not fear God or anybody else.
God
+1
fears it.
Ivy Cudgels,
Yeah.
no switch-ins. I will say, the one thing about the Cudgeler guy is when you Terra, I found this out by not knowing myself. If you Terra, even with Embody Aspect or whatever it's called, so if there's like a Flash Fire Heatran, you can't hit it with Ivy Cudgel if you Terra. Now, if you don't Terra, obviously
Yeah.
you can,
Okay.
but
Okay, this is good.
It's a little bit of a quirk.
Okay, good. Thank you for the tips on the Heatran matchup.
No problem. And
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Hey,
wait, does he have Heatran? Does he Fat Rat, do you actually have
Fat Rat.
Heatran?
he does.
Hold
Oh
up
my
a
God.
second.
No, because I only know this is because I convinced my friend Sam Sturgeon for 2 weeks in a row that I'm like, you don't need high horsepower Heatran. You got Mold Breaker Hearthflame. He tears it, and all of a sudden Flash Fire activates, and it wasn't Ability Shield. And then the next week it was a Garchomp matchup or something. And I said something similar, and then all of a sudden he took Rocky Helmet, Rough Skin, and did like 40% to himself.
I knew that because I do a lot of VGC that was really relevant for a while, but I just
Yeah.
forgot I had Heatran.
I know. A couple of my VGC friends were like mocking me for not knowing that. I'm like, I don't fucking play VGC. How's I supposed to know?
Yeah.
Draft players
I don't
don't
play
breed.
Yeah, exactly.
True.
I'm gonna click the Terra button. I'm gonna click Ivy Cudgel, and things are gonna die. Okay, that's just
Okay,
what I
as
signed
simple
up
as
for.
that.
Oh, and then there's just a random ass Necrozma that's allowed to Terra as well. Don't know why that's legal.
Yeah, with the Terra Necrozma, it was just like in case I decide I don't want to Terra my Ogerpon, I got that as well.
For that one Heatran matchup, I might want a Necrozma Terra.
Yes, please bring the Necrozma Terra rather than the Ogerpon.
Listen, I needed to make the Crossbow my Terra Captain. How else was I gonna get a Fairy type?
For real. No, because literally Wigglytuff is my favorite fairy type this generation. Not even kidding. I hate all of the fairy types.
But yeah, my team. It's fairly simple. I'm gonna go Hisui Rot, click my Ceaseless Edge 3 times. I'm gonna go into Ogerpon or Kieran Black or something like that. Just start clicking buttons. It's all gonna be nice.
And then Pekka is clicking Parting Shot into Akira, a Necrozma, or an Ogerpon Hearthflame. And it's wraps.
Hmm.
It's just
Also,
one of those teams, like I brought up with Christian. You get one or two turns wrong, and all of a sudden, it's
mhm.
looking grim. It's just
This may just be a. I've been playing some UU recently and getting swept by Chinchino, but Chinchino for 5 points.
Oh, I
That was
actually agree with that. I'm the
And it
biggest
does-
Cinchino supporter y'all will find.
it does work even without Tidy Up. Like Tidy Up is obviously very good, but it can put in work if it's like Bandit or even like Silk Scarf. This thing
I can,
is a menace.
or even like loaded dice technician.
Mm-hmm.
Get the best of both worlds.
Bro got the fake skill links on.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Uh,
like
I-
Boots Clef. But I got that fake skill link.
I will say,
Exactly.
I know I touched on earlier that you know, in this meta you either gotta have like more than one quality remover or an absolute top tier one. Iron Treads is a very good remover. With that being said, as an Iron Treads user, it does not want to run Rapid Spin every week. So sometimes you just gotta force it on there, or just run heavy duty boots and suck it up, which sucks because Ogerpon can't, like physically can't. But
He could.
eh,
Yeah, that's part of the reason why I wanted to like Altaria primarily. It's just because Altaria is fairly bulky for
yeah,
what it does. That's kind of the reason why I went with Altaria.
and there's probably like
The
what
fact
2
that Will O
points.
Wisp is insane.
Yeah, Altaria was 3, I think.
Wait, why the fuck does Altaria get Will-O-Wisp?
It's crazy.
No.
Altaria's a really good mon. Like I can run Dragon Dance Brave Bird.
Off that base 70,
Yeah, on
The
the base
Ranbat
of the attack,
set.
you already know.
does it
Yeah,
still
you
get
already know.
Cotton Guard?
I believe so.
No body press, unfortunately, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it does not get body press.
Oh, also,
Too soft to press its body.
yeah, you can run Cloud9 for like the 17 bad weather teams we've talked about.
True.
Yeah, this team is just very hell. It looks hellish to prep for.
Yeah.
It's
Also,
just
funny thing,
clicking buttons, the movie.
most of this draft was kind of planned prior, except Rotom Wash. I was just like, I kind of want an electric type, but I don't want a ground weakness. Then I was just like, oh, hey, there's Rotom Wash. I got the points for it. Might as well.
Last round Rotom Wash moment. Only time you're
Yeah.
ever going to see that.
Exactly. I was like, yeah, might as well.
I relate so much to wanting an electric type without a ground weakness.
I was really eyeing that Thunderous down at first, but I was like, nah.
Air Balloon Belly Bolt. I've ran it a couple times. Him. No. I'm so sad that Mon went undrafted.
Maybe someone will pick it up with their transactions.
I don't even
Don't
remember what my electric type. Oh, it's Raging Bolt. Yeah, no, I'm sorry, Belly Bolt.
Don't worry, because my plan with this team is I'm kind of feeling it right now because I've noticed with Ogerpon, it's like one of those things where on paper, hitting that Terra button, clicking Ivy Cudgel is really good, but it's like in practice, it's kind of hard to do,
Yep.
especially with Terra Necrozma. So
Well, it's just
I may
so
just
many,
feel-
so many good types in draft. Kind of, not necessarily resist fire, but handle it pretty well.
yeah,
Obviously,
exactly.
you got Stealth Rocks, but bulky waters, dragon types being a staple for a very long time. And then I said not necessarily resist because stuff like ground types and there's one other type I was eyeing up, both kind of shaft fire type. So you see a less and less roll every single generation that passes. But the bright side with Ogerpon is stab grass moves, hits ground
Yep,
types,
exactly.
hits water types, has play rough for dragon types at least.
Stomping Tantrum for the Heatran matchup.
That is true. I'm ready for the Heatran matchup now.
No, just act like he's not going to bring Stomping Tantrum and just run Agility Shield or Ability Shield.
True. Ability Shield on my Ogerpon Heartflame.
No.
If I
You
send
got to run it on the Heatran, so you can't click Ivy Cudgel at all.
If I send you a picture of my dog wearing a sombrero, will you not bring stomping tantrum?
Maybe, perhaps.
Bro, you just gotta give him like $20.
I'm very easily bought off.
Oh, also, I did just realize this. The same thing we were talking about with Jaybird's team, I believe, applies to Goombas team, where if anything's under base 79 speed, that hoe can just bring max HP.
That is
Mhm.
fair.
That's fair. That and no fairy type, as well as I believe fightings are one of the better types in draft, mainly because the Pokemon are just so good that are fighting types
Yeah.
now. That no fairy, no fighting kind of veered me away from putting it higher, as well as the speed tier thing.
Yeah, it's one of those things where looking back on it, I was like, I did not draft a fighting type. I'm so good at this draft thing.
Terra fighting Necrozma is actually not a horrible type for it. So
For the
I'm,
longest time on my draft plan, I forgot a ground type.
I
I
mean,
wanted to
everything
get
gets earthquake
Mudsdale.
anyways. So
True.
yeah, all right.
I'm actually just
Go
going to
ahead.
see one Terra fighting Ogrepon Heartflame. It's all going to be over for there.
Yeah, terrifying Ogre-Fon Hearthflame. All right,
Yeah,
moving
exactly.
into our top three, we have another member of this epic trio. We have
Boo.
the Raging Canes and coach a fat rat with, quite frankly, one of the most glorious logos I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, Iron Boulder
I
no
love this
burr.
game. Like,
He really does.
He really does. He put it at number one.
really so much on this team could just go bonkers offensively. Like, obviously, Iron Boulder, Como, Spectre as well, too. Heatran, can't be slept on, Lando T. So much of this team could just be like, I'm in, I'm clicking buttons. Enough said.
Fair enough. The way I looked at this team, especially at the start, I saw Iron Boulder, I saw Spectre, and after using both of them, I immediately looked for how the team could beat normals, darks, and I believe there's one other type I was looking at. Fairies, maybe? Or no, fairies was for the Como. Anyways, sidetracking off. Como is a fantastic pairing for both of these Pokemon. Because obviously, like, psychics are handled by Boulder, and then when you got normals and darks running around for
Darks.
Spectre,
Mhm.
Como kind of can just claim souls all over them. It can tear defensively. I'm genuinely surprised that both of these were Terra allowed. I'm a little
Me
sketchy
too.
on Iron Boulder without Terra, but it definitely can put in work.
I really don't think Terracomo should have been allowed. That's exactly why I grabbed it.
I don't blame you at all. This thing is unreal. Like, so many different sets can just shaft things. And you prep for one set, it brings a different one, and then all of a sudden your check isn't a check anymore.
Yeah,
And
I
then,
love this thing.
yeah. And then obviously you want to draft fairy beaters for it, which it could just tear out. But like, in case it can't, you have a Heatran and a Tentacruel. And I'm a Tentacruel hater, but I respect it. I mean, Heatran's going to be the fairy beater anyways, being able to quad resist.
Yeah.
That being said, there's also a Sylveon for the dark types that I did not touch on. Offensively, especially, great pairing with Spectrier because it's such a good attacker or special attacker that and Hyper Voice does so much damage that it kind of just beats any dark type in front of it. And then, oh yeah, I can also wish out to Heatran, Lando, Tentacruel, Rotom-O. Because yes, America. And then
Indeed.
And
Heatran,
then there's the
Tentacruel.
Zoroark, too.
Yeah, Heatran, Tentacruel covered by Rotom-Mo's Levitate. Then for even more mind games, you can run Zoroark.
The fact that there's a Zoroark on this draft just makes me upset because now it's just like, you may be dealing with Iron Boulder, or it may be Zoroark. You never know.
Literally.
It's just like,
I'll be honest, I grabbed Zoroark and Sylveon purely because I got sniped on Grimmsnarl.
Fair enough.
I wanted Grimmsnarl so much. Screen support would have been so nice with Como.
Hey, just drop Current. Get Morgrim.
Morgrim is
I
ironic.
genuinely considered it.
No, I just saw Morgrim win somebody a championship in NPBA, okay? That mon is literally one of the best 2-pointers you will ever see in your life.
I genuinely considered it, and I was so close to doing it, but then I saw the funniest little lad at 2 points. Can we get a Spite Ops sweep?
Dude,
Spite
Mr.
Ops
Ops is
sweep.
crazy. I used Spite Ops once. Motherfucker did like, I gotta find the picture. Motherfucker did like 60% to Rhoda Pete, turn one. Banded
God.
U-turn, I believe it was. A banded U-turn with stakeout to an offensive Rhoda Pete. 2-hit
Honestly,
KO
I
to
drafted
Rhoda.
Spite Ops as a joke,
No,
but the
that
fact
mod's gonna
is,
put in work.
so many teams lack removal that this actually
Yeah.
ended up being a genuinely good pick. I genuinely have reliable web spikes.
An 80
Like
attack with stakeout is genuinely usable. So you can bring that banded set and it can do work versus some bug weak teams.
Bandit sticky web, let's go!
They did webs.
Let's go. But yeah, this team, like I mentioned a couple teams ago, I forget which one it was. It just checks all the boxes that I have in my mind. Like, I can't see an immediate flaw like I can with most of these teams.
The only flaw I see with it is Tentacruel is really the only removal. I mean, there's Furret there with Tidy Up, but
Furret's not real.
Furret is not real. He's just walking.
I genuinely don't know why I had this so low. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, I forgot. I just think I never came back to it like I was supposed to. Or I didn't realize how well the mods complemented each other. Something like that.
This is one of my favorite drafts I've done in such a long time.
That's how I
feel so good about it.
Yeah, this draft is just chef's kiss.
I just, yeah. It looks super fun to play.
It is. Like, Como was so fun to build with. All of its abilities give it different immunities.
Waiting for the Terra Ghost Shadow Ball immunity.
Yeah. Bulletproof is so fun. Being immune to Mist Ball and moves like that it's very fun.
No, because Soundproof just shafts Alluring Voice. So it's like when you face up against that Aloe from a couple teams ago, it literally cannot do anything to you.
Exactly. Like, this thing it might even be able to set up 2 Clangorous Souls on it.
On the Citrus, so you're back at like 60% after 2. Something like that.
Clangorous Soul, Drain Punch it, Clangorous Soul again, kill it with Drain Punch next turn.
Anyways, I think that this is a great segue to move into our number 2 team.
Indeed.
The Anaheim Aegislash by Coach The Sylve. This team is just absolutely diabolical. No way around it.
Mm-hmm.
Prinplup is the reason why I searched through all the 2-pointers. Because I'm like, oh, it's a 1-pointer. You know, it's pretty good value. I saw it's 2, so I searched through and I got mad about it. And then the more I looked into its fit with this team, I became less mad. Which, like, it may only come twice, but, like, it gets raw. It does the same thing Empoleon does, pretty much.
Yeah. It's just Empoleon minus the Steel type.
But Eviolite.
True. Funny story about Prinplup. I was in NPBA Ore, which was limited draft pool.
Oh my!
I did not look at the dog. So in the draft, I'm just like, yeah, I want Prinplup. And the mods were just like, Prinplup is not allowed. Pick again.
Oh my god!
Because I was upset that day.
The reason I was looking is because I'm like, I really would have loved to see an electric type on this team. Forget for what reasons it was for. I just felt like bulky waters were very hard to beat, even with Ogerpon and Amoonguss. But I do think Prinplup is honestly a good Pokemon here. Like, maybe you could have used Amoonguss and Braviary Spot to get an electric, but I think you're fine without one with Ogerpon and Amoonguss.
And Iron Bundle too.
True.
Like, don't forget about Freeze Dry.
Oh, I don't. I've used this mod so much. It just, there's sometimes it doesn't do as much as you want it to.
Because Hydro Mist.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's just one fatal flaw.
Yeah. Motherfucker missed 2 hydro pumps for me in semis and lost me the game in NPBA Season 8.
Hate to see it.
I do hate to see it. I wanted to use Tusk so bad. Yes, this is the season I get to use Tusk. I'm in the back wheel. Everything's going good. First pick Aegislash.
It was round one.
Fuck.
Pick one.
Yeah, pick one, great Tusk. I didn't love it, but I think the team built around it is very, very good for it. It's very scary
Yeah.
as well.
I currently have Entei in another league. I am a huge supporter of Entei. Sacred Fire just never fails to burn. I swear it's 100%.
I've not used it, but I am friends with someone who is, and a huge fan of Entei. It brings it bans every single week. It performs.
Yeah. I wasn't too big on Entei before drafting it. I've been converted ever since then.
I would have
It's like Christianity but with a fire dog.
literally. I don't know. Like the one flaw I see is that none of your stealth rockers absolutely love to bring stealth rock. So like it's pretty easy to just bring spikes with. Wait, are we sure Ogre Punk
Yeah.
Cornerstone doesn't get rocks like 100%?
100%.
Okay, just making sure. Yeah, so it's pretty easy to not get up hazards for Sylph, but at the same time, does the team really need it?
There's
Maybe to break sashes, but
one of the notes I had with this team was just, you have Goldingo. You might as well just get a secondary
True.
spiker just so that way.
Yeah.
Just so that way it's like you get to run like a
Pick-
SD Ivy Cudgel Horde Leech Cornerstone
I
and still
was
have
not.
spikes.
Yeah, I was not in love with the Braviary pick. Bro, just pick like Limit
Yeah.
at one point
Yeah.
and use the other points somewhere else. Grab like Belly Bolt and Limit or something. I guess the team is fairly weak to ground otherwise, but I don't know. It's a little sketch for me. Though Florgus wish passing into Bulky Dragon, Goldingo, Wish or Tusk and Amoongus seems good. I just it was my number one for a reason. I think all of the pros heavily outweighed the cons. I feel like all the stuff I was poking at was very niche. And oh holy shit! I just did not use my eyes properly. I thought that there was no momentum on this team for a minute. I just looked at Volt Switch.
Yeah,
You,
don't worry.
pretty much.
It's
No,
U-turn.
yeah, you
Wait, since when does Iron Bundle get U-turn?
forever. You just flip turns better because it's stab generally.
Yeah. One
But
of
it
those
does get
things where
U-turn.
unless you're really pressed about like the water absorb matchup.
True.
I've
That
used.
one Gastrodon.
I've
Oh wait, no,
used.
who drafted Gastrodon?
You've used U-turn Iron Bundle.
Yeah, if I don't even know what the occasion is for. I just used. I think it's for like a bulky grass type or something. I didn't want to bother. Chip is chip at that point.
Chip is chip.
Fair, honestly.
I think it's mainly because the chip was significant enough to where I could go into something in pretty much Oko. But it's there. I mean, you're not clicking it, but it's there. This team just felt insanely hard to prep for and
Yeah.
felt budgeted really well. Very good draft.
Mhm.
And does that mean that it's time for number one, gentlemen? Or does anybody
I
have
think-
anything else they want to say?
I think it may be time for number one.
Indeed.
Okay.
Yes.
Guys, I promise this is not bias. I did not pay off anybody. I am a broke college student with $56 to my name.
56.
But-
Dude, you're rich.
But
Yeah.
I am number one in the power rankings, so I got that going for me.
Number
mean,
one.
it's
But number
number
two all
one.
around.
Yeah, number one in my heart. But number two, if you look at the stats. First is the worst, second's the best, baby. I get the best of both worlds.
True.
Okay, for this segment, I'm gonna read off what I have in my notes, word for word. In all caps, this team got some hitters.
Yeah.
True. That's my style of play, just clicking buttons.
Yeah, you're just gonna go into a mon, click some buttons.
U-turn
no.
out, or not U-turn, but like U-turn or volt switch out. Click on another Pokemon.
Oh no, hitter 1 died. Time to go into hitter 2.
Oh no, my Iron Crown died. Hey, Dick Lips, Ursalumin Blood Moon.
Yeah. Well, if only I didn't have a secondary new.
The only things that were like, especially when I got past Cryogonal, because I had 5 points after Talonflame. The thing that really was poking out to me, and people were saying it wasn't a big deal, I felt like with Meowscarada, Annihilate, and Talonflame, I felt like I did not have enough physical hitters. Even though Annihilate, Meowscarada, and Talonflame can all like boost its special attack, I would love to have one absolute nuke on that side. Like that's why I drafted Sneasel as well as the speed tier. Like it's a 1-pointer, but it was a 1-pointer, but a very good one. Plus, it gave me speed and the ability to like sword stance or slap a choice band on it or something. And then this team would unironically be so much better with like Girafarig instead of Tropius, but because I don't have a Wish Passer, I don't have a trick room for like Blood Moon or even like Raging Bolt or Pre-Arena. But come on, Tropius is the boy. This is the first season of the rebrand. I had to.
Yeah,
I'm bringing this motherfucker at least once.
You gotta bring the Harvest Star Fairy.
What does Star Fairy even do?
+2 random set.
Oh, so Lotto set?
Yeah. It's Moody at home.
Yeah, exactly.
Custap Protect with like some bullshit move.
You gotta run the Harvest Star Fairy for the fans.
For the fans, you know it. Unironically, though, I think this might be. I don't know if it's necessarily "quote unquote" the strongest. I think it's the best put together team I've ever drafted. Most synergetic.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, most fun. I think this is the most fun or most excited I've been to use a team ever.
And if you want like an in-depth look into the thought process behind all of these mods, you can check out Jay Sauce's video on his team breakdown.
He'll be on the top right corner of your screen now.
Whoa.
Watch. It's a heater. I go more in depth about every single pick, and you get to see the mind of a genius. As Kanye once said, my biggest regret is not being able to see myself play or see myself live. I don't have that problem. I can see myself live, see myself play. But
yeah, exactly.
This team punishes U-turns so much.
Oh, like Meowscarada Quad Week? No, fuck you. Annihilate, Glamora, Talonflame. Like, I just love it.
Yeah, this team, it just scratches the perfect spot in my brain. Just like, yeah, that's what's up.
Guys will see this and be like, hell yeah.
I may not have put it as my number one best team, but it was my favorite team.
Exactly.
I feel the same way, and I promise it's not biased. It's just, I look like you see this on the first look, and you're just like, what the hell? Like, this should not be legal. He should not be able to get all of these.
I think we all had that same exact spot, so we all put him into 2.
It's like, genuinely, I felt guilty putting myself at 1. I don't know if I didn't have guilt. I don't know if I would have put it at the 1 or not, but, like, man, this team goes hard. I don't even know how good Glamora is with Annihilate. Like, obviously, Golingo's the better removal punisher, but, like, Glamora, when most teams have one mid-ass hazard removal, is going to put up Jordan numbers this season. All right. Now, this was all a facade, guys. Time to move on to the real number 1 team.
Yeah, time to move on to the real number 1
it's
team.
It's Tracer again. Let's go, baby.
Tracer again.
Tracer.
There's actually 2. He actually figured out mitosis.
He's cellularly divided.
He got those rocks up.
Yeah, he got the stealth rocks up. He clicked knockoff.
He was unmovable. It was all over.
So yeah, huge shout to this guy.
I love
I'm waiting to
Drazo.
see. I'm waiting to see what next season entails. I'm also excited to see how good this team actually ends up being. What the record's going to be. Because I think Drazer pulled off like 3-5 with the lightest team last season.
Maybe they
Did he-
can run a 5-3 this time around.
Hopefully,
Did they like draft like Flabebe and stuff like that, or
I think it was fully evolved Pokemon. I assume so,
okay?
or at least
That would be
useful mons. So if you get NFVs that are actually good, you can use them.
that would have been crazy.
Yeah. So and then finally, I just have a final ranking slide, so it's visual what everybody's lists were separately. Because I know, especially if your team was early on in the video, it can get a little bit hard to remember. It was just a bunch of numbers on the screen, so yeah. Here's all of ours. The bottom half, or at least the top half on your screen, like 12-7, was pretty unanimous for the most part. It's just a lot of the spots were flipped. But after that, starting from 6 down, we had some pretty differing opinions, but nothing too radical. So yeah,
Exactly.
thank you all so much for watching. It means a lot if you're still here. You watched the whole video. Thank you for my yummy view time, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. So yeah,
Make sure to hit that like button.
Hit that like button, the subscribe button, turn the notification bell on, and I will go to your house and do some things I'm not allowed to say on YouTube.
Yeah.
But yeah, I will see you guys all in the next one. Thank you again for the support. I hope you guys liked it. JSauce out.